This video tells the story of our 8-day trek around Cordillera Huayhuash and Yerupaja, the second highest mountain in Peru. We began our trip with a couple nights in Lima before taking a bus to Barranca and on to Huaraz. We spent a few days in Huaraz to acclimatize before heading to Chiquian, the last town before starting the trek. Here we spent some time relaxing and did an acclimatization hike to Laguna Huayhuash. Chiquian is a beautiful small town which left a strong impression on us.
After a week in Peru, we boarded the bus from Chiquian to Cuartalain, where most people begin the Huayhuash trek. Starting from 4,100 meters, we ascended to Cacanapunta at 4,700 meters, the first pass of many passes during the trek. From there, we left the main route and followed the Huayhuash Circuit over several more minor passes to reach Laguna Mitacocha, our first campsite at an alpine lake overlooking a row of glacier peaks.
In the morning, there was a small fox poking around our campsite, and after breakfast, we waited for the sun to dry our tent. We then continued along the Alpine Circuit, crossing another 4,700 meter pass en route to Laguna Huayhuash. The pass was difficult to reach, with many animal tracks along the valley wall, but after that the trail was much easier to follow. We continued on to a viewpoint overlooking Laguna Huayhuash, with views into the next valley and several more lakes. After stopping for some pictures, we descended and slept on the west side of Huayhuash in a small alpine valley between the lake and the mountains.
The next day was cloudy, and after crossing a marshy area and a small river, we rejoined the main trail, climbing to the Mirador Tres Lagunas and on to Paso Ciula at 4,800 meters. The sun came out as the day progressed, and this section was by far the most populated of the entire 8 days. From the pass, we descended to Laguna Carnicero and camped just beyond the lake, blissfully alone around 30 minutes from Huayhuash campsite.
The next day, we passed through the campsite and paid our fee to the workers there, the first local people we had seen since our first day on the trail. After that, we ascended to Paso Trapecio, with the viewpoint above the pass marking our first time above 5,000 meters on the trek. Up to the pass, the trail is well marked, but descending is more tricky. From the viewpoint, we descended to Paso Jurao, passing close to a glacier and through difficult rocky terrain before reaching our campsite on a moraine ledge perched above Laguna Huayhuash at 4,500 meters. While the afternoon and night were calm, by the morning a strong wind had started, and we rushed to pack our things, leaving in the early morning for the first time. This was the toughest day for us, and we did not see any other trekkers or local people. After descending to the lake, we waited for the sun to reach us while filtering some water. We were planning to continue along the ridge, passing Cerro Gran Vista and descending to Laguna Caramarca. But as we reached the pass, we saw a storm coming and headed down into the valley, around 2 kilometers before the lake.
The next morning, Alights headed up to the lake to enjoy the sunrise before we descended to Huayhuash, the first settlement we had seen in almost a week. Here, we spent the night at a local guest house and purchased some fresh fruit and vegetables. The Wi-Fi worked, but the promise of hot water went unfulfilled. This was also the first time we had been under 4,000 meters since the starting of the trek, and although it wasn't warm, it was not as bitterly cold as most nights.
Although we started late in the morning, this was the first day which we spent entirely on the main Huayhuash Trail rather than on the Alpine Circuit. This meant we were a little further from the big mountains, and being on the donkey trail meant we could travel faster than when we had to find the route and traverse more difficult terrain. We managed to pass by Gashapampa and camp at Cuspa, with the final high pass in sight. At first, the local warden asked that we return and camp at the main campsite, but when we implored him, he allowed us to stay for a small fee.
We awoke aware that we could reach the town with a strong effort. This was our early start, and we dried the tent when we reached the sunny spot, just below Yache Pass. From the pass, we followed the ridge, soaking in the views of the Huayhuash range as several lakes came into view. The scenery was beautiful. After descending to Huayhuash, we forded a river to reach the trail heading towards Yamak. We ascended to the last minor pass before starting the final descent into town, where we were able to find a ride with a nurse who lived in Huayhuash and was visiting her grandmother in Yama.
After a couple days in Chikian, we headed to the main road and were picked up by a driver with a Canadian couple returning to Huayhuash. On the ride, the driver told me about his family and that the road was built by a Canadian mine. He dropped us at the Colectivo station, where we quickly found a ride to Caras to enjoy some warm weather and ice cream before returning to cloudy Lima. We did our best to regain the weight we had lost on the trek and sort out the fact that Selena lost her passport somewhere on the trail. Luckily, some French tourists found the passport and returned it to the consulate in Lima just hours before our flight back to the US.